Handicapper Steve here, handicapping the racing from Churchill Downs here on Saturday. It is the 13th of August, 2022. Going to look at the stakes races on the program here on Arlington Million Day. But before I get on to that, remember to please follow me on Twitter at Horse Racing Kid 5 for more selections for race courses around the world, and I mean it around the world. Let's look at the stakes action races 5, 7, 10, 11. The fifth race from Churchill. It is the Beverly D Stakes. It's a grade 1 event going for a purse of $500,000. Race for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upwards. We have a field of 5 horses going on that spongy turf course here at Churchill. The distance of ground of 1,800 meters, or the mile and 1/8 trip here on the Churchill turf course. 1,800 meters, mile and 1/8 here in the Beverly D. The portable rails for this race will be out 24 feet, and this will be the first race they're going to run on the Churchill turf course since early June. They had to put the turf races on hiatus because of the loose, spongy going, everybody said. And if you watch the Churchill turf races for the first month and a half or 6 weeks of the whatever it was of the Churchill meeting this year, you needed to be wide. The rail wasn't the best place, and a lot of horses just weren't handling it. And if you watch like Derby Day, there were horses always out by a bunch early on, late in the race, and then there was a good gap, and then the rest of the horses. So I don't know how to play this turf course this season at times. So we're gonna figure out again today. I'm gonna take the as a top selection here, the 5 horse Lily Pond. Let's go 5, 4, 3 in the trifecta. 5, 4, 3 trifecta. Top section of 5 horses Lily Pond. 3-year-old filly by Galileo. Ain't O'Brien trains one. John Velazquez comes in to ride this one. The horse's most recent outing came the 17th of July at the Curran, Ireland. Mile and 1/8 in the Group 2 Killboy Estate Stakes, and the horse won by a half length, and 8-1 for Ryan Moore and Ain't O'Brien Ireland is quite amazing. But this horse stalked early on. He got the lead in the lane at a furlong from home, and he took off clear. A very easy return to the winner's circle there. Coming here, not the world's toughest Beverly D, has some early pace. I think this horse could really improve off that last run. 2 back ran the Group 3 Centera Stakes at Leopardstown, a mile 3/4 stay on the 7th of July, and the horse didn't stay the trip. She finished 6 by 9 lengths, completely hit the wall in the final 3 furlongs. It just wasn't her day to win. I think a mile and 1/8, a mile and 1/4 is really what she wants to do, not a mile 6 furlongs. And then prior to that, in the Group 3 Munster Oaks at Cork, a mile and a half on the 8th of June. She finished 3rd by 3 1/4 lengths that day. She stalked, she had the lead, but then she just couldn't stay the trip late. A mile and a half again, a little bit too long for her, but she had a massive place in the Blue Wind Stakes before that in Ace over the mile and 1/4. She finished 2nd by 4 lengths. She just couldn't get there late, but she still ran her heart out there. I like the trip here today. She's getting some serious class relief. There's a pick 4 that begins with this race. I'm going to single her off to begin this pick 4, or this mid pick 4. To recount my selection for the 5th from Churchill, it's the Beverly D, the grade 1 Beverly D. Let's take the 5 horse Lily Pond. I'm going to go 5, 4, 3 in the trifecta. The 7th race from Churchill, it is the Lady Tax Stakes. It's going for a purse of $200,000, race for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upwards. We have a field of 5 horses going to the main track, the distance of ground of 1,200 meters, or the distance of ground of 6 furlongs on the Churchill main track. 1,200 meters, 6 furlongs, main track. My top selection, I'm going to go with the number 3 horse here, Joyful Cadence. I'm going to go 3, 2, 1 in the trifecta. 3, 2, 1 trifecta. Top selection of 3 horse, Joyful Cadence. This 4-year-old filly by Run Happy here. John Ortiz trains this one. Raylu Gutierrez gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came the 8th of July at Prairie Meadows, 6 furlongs in the Saylorville Stakes, and the horse won by 5 3/4 lengths. Horrible beginning that day, but really recovered after that. Went straight to the front end, set some wicked fast fractions. He got the job done at 5 cents a dollar, going away, beating those lesser quality horses. Come back to Churchill, looks like going to be the main speed in this race. It wouldn't surprise me if this horse goes wire to wire here today. 2 back, the horse ran the 3rd of May at Churchill, 6 furlongs in the grade 3 winning colors. He finished 2nd by 3/4 length. He was with them early on. He got caught by Sconson late, but this horse didn't go down without a fight. I thought it was a decent effort there. An improvement off the race before, which came at Oaklawn, 6 furlongs on option 75. The horse finished 3rd by 4.5 lengths that day, and just kind of stalked, but never really got to the front end. It was very, very flat that day, compared to the race before, where the horse ran terrific on the 20th of March at Oaklawn. 6 furlongs off 62, winning by 3 lengths. From a track position, she got the lead. She quickened up nicely, a little drifting late, but she was all much the best. back to stakes competition, not the world's toughest race. Looks like going to be the main speed. I'm going to take a shot with this horse. You can't throw out the 2-horse Wisconsin either. Most recently, the Chicago handicap or Chicago Stakes here at Churchill, 7 furlongs, 25th of June. She finished second by 2 3/4 lengths, and she was very lackadaisical in the run. She was kind of drifting in, just couldn't keep up there. But before that, when the winning colors closing up from nowhere, and when the open mine here last September closing up from nowhere, I'm definitely going to use her here in the multi-race. But to recap my selection for the 7 from Churchill's, it's the Lady Tack. Let's take the 3-horse Joe Volcandons. Give kudos to the 2-horse Wisconsin. 3-2-1 trifecta. 3-2 in your multi-race. To the 10th race from Churchill now. It is the 4 Larned Stakes. It's going for a purse of $200,000, race for 3-year-olds and upwards. We have a field of 7 horses going to the main track. The distance of ground here of 1,900 meters, or the distance of ground of 1 mile 3/16 on the Churchill main track. 1,900 meters, 1 mile 3/16 here in the Fort Larned. And I'm pretty sure, I have to go check it, but I'm pretty sure Fort Larned actually holds the mile 3/16 record. Not here at Churchill, but I think at Gulfstream Park, winning the Gulfstream Park handicap in like 2011 or 12, or some kind of race like that, or maybe like the skip away. But I'm pretty sure my top selection, or he at one time he held the track record. I don't know if he holds it now, but my top selection here, I'm going to go take the number 3 horse, Mr. Wireless. Let's go 3-5-2-6 in the superfecta. 3-5-2-6 super. Top selection 3 horse, Mr. Wireless. 4-year-old gelding by Dialed In. Brett Calhoun trains one. Deshaun Parker gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came the Schaefer Memorial at Indiana, mile 70 on the 9th of July. The horse went by 2 lengths, and he basically had a dream trip. He stalked, he got the lead, a little bit wide, but when he got the lead, he kept going. Coming home to a 94 buyer, I thought it was a good return to the race, his second off the bench. Coming here an extra, 3/16 of the mile from the last run shouldn't be a problem. I think with the longer trip, he's going to really improve. 2 back and optional 150 at Churchill, 1 mile on the 5th of June. First off the break, he finished 6 by 9 3/4 lengths. He was with them early on, stalking a fast pace, and then just kind of hit the wall. I do think he needed the race since it was his first run since the 26th of September. That came at Remington, a mile and 1/8 in the Oklahoma Derby. He finished 5th by 8 3/4 lengths that day, was very, very wide, and he just couldn't keep up there. It wasn't his day to win. And then prior to that, in the West Virginia Derby at Mountaineer, a mile and 1/8 on the 7th of August, went by 1/4 lengths from a tracking position. He got the job done very, very easily. And then he won the Indiana Derby before that at Indiana, going a mile 16th, winning by 3 1/4 lengths. Another easy victory for him that day, even after not the best beginnings. And he almost had a triple Derby win over last summer. He finished second in last year's Texas Derby behind Warrant at Lone Star. He just couldn't get there late, but he ran his heart out. Coming here today to the longer trip, which I think he should absolutely adore, I'm going to use him. The 5-horse Twilight Blue, I like him to the longer trip. He's stepping back up the class ladder here today, but his buyer's definitely up to scratch. I like the place at Churchill here on the 25th of June, and the win 2 back here at Churchill, earning a 97 buyer. Up this class ladder, definitely use him at 5-2. And the 2-horse King Fury, he's a horse I think could stay for days. If there's going to be a pace meltdown, I think it could be him. He just wasn't handling the Tapeta last time out here at Turfway in the Kentucky Cup Classic, but he won over the trip of ground here in last year's Bourbon Trail, winning by a baker's dozen, closing up from nowhere. If he runs that race today, he could definitely win. I'll definitely use this horse in the late pick 4. But to recap my selection for the 10th from Churchill, it's the 4 Larned. Let's take the 3-horse Mr. Wireless. Give kudos to the 5-horse Twilight Blue and the 2-horse King Fury. 3-5-2-6 super. 3-5-2 in your multi-race. The featured 11th race from Churchill. It is the Arlington Million. It's a grade 1 event going for a purse of $1 million. Race for 3-year-olds and upwards. We have a field of 9 horses going to the main track. The distance of ground of 1,800 meters, or the distance of ground of 1 mile and 1/8 on the Arlington main track, turf course. 1,800 meters, 1 mile and 1/8 here in the Arlington Million. Here at Churchill, not Arlington. Rails are down for this race. Earlier in the car, they're going to have the rails up. This race, they'll be down at 0 feet, so they'll be running at the true position. And, a lot of thoughts on them running the Arlington Million at Churchill in August. Churchill doesn't run in August normally. The first time I think ever in my lifetime they're going to be doing it. Last year they ran early September, but or 2 years ago. But, I just find it weird running this race at Churchill. with Churchill buying Colonial Downs next year, it wouldn't surprise me at all if they run this race, the Arlington Million next year at Colonial, bring it back to its mile and a quarter trip, which would be good. As a mile and the eighth race, I just find it. I don't like the trip. I like a little bit longer trip for this race because then you get some better horses all meeting up. You get the milers meeting up at the mile and a quarter, and and you get the mile and a half horses meeting up at that mile and a quarter. And I think it always shows up as a good race. Not the world's toughest million this year, but it's still a decent run. I'm going to take the 2-horse Sacred Life as a top selection. Let's go 2-1-6-4 in the superfecta. 2-1-6-4 super, top selection 2-horse Sacred Life. Several Ridgeling here. Chaperon trains. Manny Franco gets the mounts. The horse's most recent outing came the Grade 3 Monmouth Stakes at Monmouth, the mile and eighth on the 18th of June, and the horse won by 1 1/4 lengths that day. He sat back early. He slowly moved his way up. When he got the lead, he got the job done. A very good run. He absolutely loves that Monmouth turf course. Coming here to Churchill today, where he ran last season decently, I'm going to give him a shot again here today. Two back, he ran the Fort Marcy at Belmont, about a mile and eighth on the 7th of May. Very yielding, spongy turf course. He finished second by 3.5 lengths that day. He was very wide, but Lee Imperator just basically won it on the front and walking. Don't take out a lot of that race because it was Derby weekend here in New York, which was absolutely a monsoon of rain. So the turf course had a lot to do with that. And then the Muniz Memorial at the Fairgrounds, mile and eighth on 26th of March, finishing fourth by 5 3/4 lengths. He was very wide. He was closing up a little bit late, but he just needs some more ground. And then the Pegasus World Cup at Gulfstream, about a mile and eighth on 29th of June. He finished sixth by 2 1/4 lengths. A little bit of a trouble trip. He didn't break so well. He was a little bit wide. He moved a little bit late, but it wasn't anything spectacular. He's back to a grade 1 here today. It shouldn't be a problem because I like his running style in this race, coming from a little bit of an, coming from a little bit nowhere that today. At 9-2, I'll use him. I think you also have to use the 1-horse set piece. Varan Giroux's on this one for Brad Cox. Most recently, the Forbidden Apple at Saratoga opening weekend, he finished fifth by 3 1/4 lengths that day, and he just had a very troubled trip. He was loaded, but just couldn't get through. Before then, the dinner party over the mile 16th at Pimlico, he won by 1/4 lengths, and he was much the best, really quicking up nicely there. He's coming here to Churchill, where he's run 5 and 4 on the circumference of the course. It was a completely different course than he's running on today, but he likes running here locally. He won the Wise Dan here and 3 stakes races last fall. I'm going to use him here 4-1, and I also think the 6-horse you have to use, Santon. He won the Turf Classic over this turf course in May very nicely. I came back to run in the Manhattan where he had a very troubled trip and he had a shoe repair, which probably took a little out of him. Coming here today, I'm going to use him at 3-1. To recap my selection for the 11th from Churchill, it's the grade 1 $1 million Arlington Million. Let's take the 2-horse. The 2-horse Sacred Life. Give kudos to the 1-horse Set Piece and the 6-horse Santon. 2-1-6-4 Super. 2-1-6 in your multi-race. So good luck to all. Please follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5. Good luck, everybody.